Get ready for the ultimate dose of inspiration and knowledge with the Give Me 5 podcast. Host Chris Gilmour shares actionable tips on a different topic each episode. Tune in now and elevate your life with Chris Gilmour.
Oh, that was weak. No. Yeah. All right, man. You're definitely the clapper. All right? You're the clapper. Or I'm going to buy my own clapper. So, welcome to another episode of the Give Me 5 podcast. I'm your host, Chris Gilmour. And again, we have real estate expert Josh Smith. Now, Josh, this is hot off the press. Today's podcast, we spoke earlier this morning and said the federal budget has just been delivered.
Yes.
Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer for Australia, has delivered the 2023 budget.
Yes.
So we thought we would do a podcast on the winners and the losers.
Did you notice we've gone for the green lighting because it's all about the cash.
It's all about money.
It's all about the cash.
Well, look, for our avid listeners, we've got 8 of them, right? So
thanks to our families.
Yeah, thanks. I think I'm 7 of them every time I click on it, just to make sure. It's we don't want anyone dying on the podcast, man.
No.
All right, but anyway, we said last time money doesn't buy happiness, and my beautiful sign. I truly do believe money does buy happiness because now I have my own juicing machine, so I can have pure, freshly juiced every single morning I walk into the office. It's bloody delicious.
Yeah, well, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but no money buys nothing, doesn't it? So,
but it buys beautiful oranges.
True.
So,
how many of those have you had today?
That's my second. So if I gotta go,
I've only had one since it's been here, so I reckon it's all a bit full on.
What do you mean it's full on?
Yeah, it's just
You put the juice.
Yeah, I know,
put the
but
oranges in, push a button, it slices it and juices it.
I have 5 cups of coffee, but all of that orange juice is a bit much.
No. It's. Do you see me ever getting sick?
No.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
All right, so let's get into the budget. We're going to null this down, like dumb it down.
Yep.
So everyone sort of understands.
So as you and I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
Where the money is going, who's going to benefit, and who's not going to benefit.
Who stole the money?
So do you want to talk about the winners or the losers first?
Let's get the negatives out of the way. Let's
straight into the red. You want to go straight into the losers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think most people that are listening are going to be more concerned with money being taken out of their pockets or making their life harder than the other side of things.
Well, the way that the government has delivered this budget, there is more winners than there are losers.
That's how they framed it, is it?
Absolutely.
So they packaged it all up.
Absolutely. So can we change the lights to red? Is this possible while we're talking about the losers?
I don't know.
Hey! Right on cue. Look at that. All right, so the gas industry is a loser. Okay?
How so?
So the gas industry, the government's going to extract $2.4 billion from the gas industry.
Okay, what does that even mean?
Well, you don't ask me the hard questions. Well, they're going to extract it, so they're probably going to.
So that's right now kickbacks or funding.
They're going to take funding away. So $2.4 billion is coming away. So people have to understand if someone's winning, someone else is going to be losing.
There's only so much money that goes around.
Absolutely, they've got to rob someone and pay someone else. You know what I mean? So the gas industry has copped it.
Okay.
Right. So 2.4 billion. International students. This one was interesting when I was reading up to this. So, the rules have changed because of COVID and all this sort of stuff with international students. But from July 1, visa holders, right, can now only work a maximum 48 hours per fortnight. That's it.
That's 24 hours a week. That's still a decent amount for someone who's going.
We do nearly 24 hours in a day work.
Yeah, but for someone who's a student, if you're a legit full-time student trying to actually fit 24 hours of work in as well,
now, if you're a student working in aged care, you're exempt from that. Work as long as you want. Anyway.
take your assignments along to work and while you're overseeing people that are sleeping and get some schoolwork done.
Maybe.
I suppose.
New immigrants. Okay, so the cost to apply for a visa is going to rise by 6%. Okay, the government believes that's going to raise an extra $660 million into the budget. by raising the cost of the visa to apply.
How much is a visa?
I've got
Like
no
that
idea.
maths just doesn't. That
Okay, so
it goes up by 6%, and it's going to raise 600 million.
Yep.
How many people are applying for visas to Australia?
So this will improve visa processing times and cut down immigration backlogs. So Treasury has lifted expectations on how quickly the population is growing, which is largely driven by immigration. So population growth is expected to be at 2% by the end of this financial and 1.7%, amounting to an extra 715,000 people entering Australia over the next 2 years.
Yeah, okay, so I suppose you could work that back to front, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So
is a visa $1,000 if it goes up by six?
I would be guessing it's more than $1,000 for a visa. Comment on the podcast if you know. Do you know
how much an immigration visa is?
Yeah, I don't know. Travellers, they're losers. Anyone flying or cruising out of Australia is set to be hit with an increased charge to do so from July 1.
Well, that's departure tax.
All right, so it's going up $10. Okay,
Yep.
So it's a passenger movement charge. I love the words that the government come up with. What can we sting someone for departing our country? They're going to come back to our country. They're just going on a cruise or a holiday, which they're going to spend money. So they're like, well, if you're going to spend your money abroad, we want to take at least some of that. So it's going from $60 to $70. So it's going up $10. So travellers lose out. This is a big one, man. This one is going to, and I want to read more about this. The truckies. Don't hurt the truckies. Without truckies, man.
Without trucks, Australia
stops. We all know the slogan.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
absolutely.
Let's see. The heavy vehicle road usage charge is being raised by 6% a year for the next 3 years, from 27.2 cents per litre of diesel to 32.4 cents.
That's 18% over 3 years, effectively.
Correct. Yep. Now, the change is a significant money spinner for the government, saving $1.1 billion over 4 years through reductions in the cost of the fuel tax credit. So the decision to lift it was, the charge was made jointly by federal, state and territory transport ministers.
So that's a per kilometre charge?
Per litre.
Per litre, okay.
Per litre of diesel.
Thing, right. Yeah.
So the truckies are going to get hit. Right? And like...
Which the reality is that cost gets passed
onto us.
Straight on to like whatever goods it's carrying.
But that's everything.
Yeah, that's it. If it's fruit and vegetables, it gets passed on to that. If it's furniture, it gets passed on to that. If it's cars, it gets passed on to that.
So my orange juice has just gone up 6%.
Yep. You should probably just grow oranges in the backyard.
Well, yeah, radio. No, I'll just go and support the local fruit grocer. All right, so the losers are, and there's two more losers, vaping and smokers. They're just going to tax them even more. I already know what they're going to say. Recreational vaping.
Yeah, but they have to, because if you look at the reality from I haven't smoked in 20 years, right?
Yep.
But when you think about like how much the numbers have dropped by,
yep.
If they want to raise $1 billion in smoke related
smoke or
stuff,
alcohol, just add it there.
But the thing is with smoking, like that they've effectively done such a good job of decreasing the number of smokers. It kind of becomes exponential that as the years go on, they've got to increase it by more and more and more per person to actually get the same amount out of it, and it gets to this breakneck point. But
absolutely.
Don't vape, kids. Just don't vape.
Simple. So it says vapors are the biggest losers, right? But a win.
Well, you
can't judge people that vape. Come on. No, it's their choice, it's their body. You can do whatever you want, but anyway, all the hate comments we're going to get on this one, this is going to blow up.
Just don't vape.
Yeah, it's simple. But it's a win for public health. All right, so $234 million will be spent over 4 years in an attempt to get people off vaping, including $63 million of that to public health campaigns. advertising. 30 million towards support programs.
Is there any actual data on, like from the health system cost of vaping versus smoking? I don't know anything about that. But that's the big thing with smoking, isn't it? It's ultimately the cost on the healthcare system.
Oh, of course.
To the taxpayer.
Yeah. There's an additional 140 million to extend the tackling of Indigenous smoking program as well too. Now for smokers, Australians already are imposed with one of the highest taxes anywhere in the world on smoking. Now of any nation in the world. So the tobacco excise is going up 5%.
Okay.
So each year, okay, for 3 years. So over the next 3 years, another 15% tax on top of your cigarettes.
So realistically, we're just going to see an increase in illegally smuggled tobacco goods and products.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Possibly. Yeah. All right. So they're all the losers.
Okay.
All right. So I think for me, the biggest one is the truckies. Like that when we say truckies, we're saying the entire Australian population, because everything's going to go up.
Yeah, everything.
All right. So really simple.
Yeah.
There was a few no changes. So taxpayers, no change. Believe that? We're all taxpayers.
Yeah.
So there's no change. There's some comments around there. So the stage 3 tax cut will be abolished. 37% tax bracket, lower the 32%, down to 30%. They're raising the threshold. You'll be happy with this. You're a top earner, mate. You're on the big bucks. They're taking the tax bracket from 180,000 now to 200,000.
Oh, sweet.
And $1.
Sweet.
But what they're saying is it's expected to cost the budget $69 billion over the next 4 years.
For that change?
Well, yeah. So
okay.
I call bullshit.
Yeah.
NDIS is one of the.
I mean, the reality is the government gave away a lot of money through COVID, didn't they? Through like JobKeeper, JobSeeker. Of
course they did.
And yes, like compared to other countries, we probably did a lot better job of, keeping absolute chaos at bay. But at some point, that's got to be paid for. It's just the reality of it.
We forgot to change the lights because we're off the losers.
Are we?
Yeah, we're on the black.
Green.
Oh, well, we're not at the green yet.
Okay.
But NDIS, so that's one of the fastest growing, spending for the federal government. They want to try and limit its growth to no more than 8% a year. Treasury forecast suggests it won't meet that target, but it will save around $59 billion over the next decade. So NDIS, there's no change there. And that was it. So there's no change on those two. So
hang on, so there's no change to the spending for NDIS?
Yeah, well, it's one of the fastest growing areas where they're spending a lot of their money. So
that's because we've got an aging population and stuff, and a bunch of stuff that comes along with that.
Yeah. So it will be there,
which effectively means they're cutting. But by staying the same, but it's actually growing. They're effectively cutting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. There's a massive list of winners.
Okay.
No one wins. It's like the casino. The house always wins. This is the government we're talking about.
A few pennies here.
Absolutely.
A few pennies there.
All right. So I'm going to run through all of them. You tell me which ones you want to dive into. So they're saying aged care, agricultural, arts, childcare, cost of living, defense. Childcare.
I got a 2-year-old. Tell me all about it.
All right. So the government's $4.7 billion childcare subsidy changes will finally come a reality from July 1. In short, it's good news for families with children in childcare and household incomes below $530,000. Who's earning $530,000 a year combined incomes?
Not very.
Are these dudes vaping?
If they are. Childcare is the least of their concerns.
All right.
You would think.
For families earning less than $80,000, the subsidy for their first child will climb to 90%.
Okay.
Right. So I think that's good.
Yep.
Right. Because that's more in line with average Australians.
Yes.
All right. So those that are on more than 80,000, this is you. All right. The subsidy will progressively fall based on their income. Some families could see a lift in their subsidy up to around 20%. This was one of their promises or policies when they were going for government. Right. So they're saying that, you know, one of the promises.
Look at us.
Yeah.
We actually followed through on one thing.
One thing. But we're going to take it from the
now
truckies.
We're going to tell you all about it.
Well, we're taking it from the truckies, so you pay more for your shit to support your job.
The trucks that are carrying like baby formula and
Correct.
like child, sure.
Yep. We got cost of living, defense, electricity.
What's the defense?
Defense. Well, there's two on defense, man. Do you want me to get into the defense?
We need some more rockets. We need some more submarines.
Well, okay. So the defense spending was already set to rise, right? But the federal government has added another $11 billion into more spend.
I'm going to go on the record right here and say that a portion of that money needs to go to the what are they, like the inquest into veteran suicide and that side of things. We need to do a better job of looking after our veterans. Some of that money needs to go there. I'm on the record for that opinion for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so they're saying that over the next 4 years, right? So obviously they want to lift. They're also going to spend $4.5 billion over the next decade, and about $500 million each year to establish its nuclear-powered submarine shit. So this just blows my mind. It really does. But under defense, there was another one there that I'll bring into defense. What's your take on this? We're going to spend another $200 million, right, over the next 2 years for additional support to Ukraine so they can continue fighting Russia. 200 million.
Sure. I mean,
give me your opinion. Like, look, it's our podcast.
I mean, look,
everyone's going to have a different opinion on this.
On one hand, yes, global security, keep the bad guys at bay and all of that stuff, sure. But, clean up your own backyard first, surely. I mean, like, what could $200 million like go to in, like, let's just say hospital, like just the hospital,
education,
what's the average wait time, when you go into a hospital now with some, people like on trolleys in hallways for 15 hours and stuff, and we need to be, I don't see it.
It probably doesn't sound like a lot, but
like, of course it's a lot.
Well,
of course it's a lot.
It's 200 million.
Yeah, it doesn't sound much if you say it
we
fast.
love Ukraine and whatever the bullshit is going on over there.
Certainly feel for the people of Ukraine, absolutely. But like we've also got to feel for
our people in our own backyard.
Our people as well. Yep, definitely.
Our Aussies, put that to the truckies.
Yep.
Lower the subsidy on diesel. That one blew my mind. Anyway, electricity bills. Apparently, we're going to win with electricity. So
they're talking one $500. I must admit,
a $500 relief in energy. To be really fair, right? That's great for most. It's not even going to make a dent. My energy bills are like $4,000 a quarter or something. Like, it's out of control.
I haven't paid an electricity bill in 8
years
or something.
I don't know where I'm getting stung, man. I've got like 43 panels on my house, like 16 kilowatt.
Do you reckon it was plugging that Tesla car in every night and recharging that might have had something to do with it?
Now I've got a V8 twin turbo.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what yours goes down by, to see what your car actually represented in amongst all of that.
However, the $500 relief is only for pensioners and veterans.
Okay, well, at least it is for pensioners and like at least.
Yep. So they get something, but the average everyday hardworking person that's struggling with 11 interest rate rises and all that bullshit. Anyway, so they're putting a spin on that. The electricity is a win for them. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
We've got disaster responders, emissions reduction. The environment.
What's the emissions reduction?
So 450 million will go towards helping the country's largest industrial emitters. So basically, they're trying to offset their emissions by 5% all the way up to 2030. So,
okay. Side note. Hang on. Side note. I did watch a very interesting thing on YouTube last night on the development of Toyota's new, like they're really pressing on with the hydrogen thing.
Yeah.
Like that looked really interesting.
Yeah, I don't
However,
know if that's
however, they said, right? They did say whatever it was that there was, this amount of hydrogen, whatever, and it was a range of 400 kilometers.
Yep.
But then it said it was something like it was either 20 liters of water comes out the back of it. Are we going to get to the point where we're all driving around in hydrogen cars with the windscreen wipers on full because there's just so much that's like water is the byproduct of it.
Yeah.
So we're all going to drive hydrogen cars.
We should just
like
be
the
driving
sides of the road will be green,
Yeah,
nice and lush. But we'll be driving.
Absolutely.
We should invest in a replacement windscreen wiper company. There you go.
Yeah, good
Investment opportunity.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm busy enough.
Other than the cost of the extra cost of transporting them to and from the shops.
That's a good lead-in because $2 billion has been set aside to help the development of clean hydrogen in Australia.
Okay.
So, so that's your emissions reduction. GPs, general practitioners, bulk billing incentives for GP will be tripled for most of the common consults with children under 16, pensioners and concession card holders.
I think anything that can be done to improve the quality of a completely free healthcare system in our country is worth doing.
Look, I think
wherever they've got a...
Yeah, absolutely. But our healthcare is pretty good compared to most developed countries around the world. Right?
Absolutely.
Unless you travel, you wouldn't know that. No. But one thing I will say, no matter what your government pick is, we do have a pretty good healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. But that's it. Like, unless they keep investing in it, it would be very easy to see it go backwards.
Yeah.
I got a stomach ulcer when I lived in California. That was expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally off topic, but I had a meeting this morning with some clients who are moving to Australia from the US, and they said that your debt over there is passed on to your kids. This is totally off topic. Did you know that? Right, so if you've got a mortgage, right, and you die, that mortgage is then left with your kids to deal with. Like it's.
Is it a 1034 property exchange on investment
so
property?
we were talking these crazy odd numbers, like it's a 410k and a 503k.
Well,
I didn't even know what they were talking about.
I think it's a 1034. Is that if you sell an investment property and make a profit, as long as you take that money and roll it into another investment, the tax on that profit just gets accumulated to the end of the line, and when you die, they come collect. They come collect the money at the end, first up out of the inheritance.
Mate,
money.
so if I was in America, I would be hopped up to here.
Well, that's it. You get to play the investment game and get all of the income and everything along it at the end and defer all. Yeah. Sign me up.
Sign me up. Giddy up. Anyway, back on topic. Homeowners.
Yes.
This one's up our alley. You want to know what we're doing?
Go.
All right. Low interest loans will be offered to households looking to improve their energy efficiency. Put me to sleep. All right. So 110,000 loans will be offered, aimed to encourage householders to invest into more energy efficient appliances, right? So basically you're going to go to Good Guys, go buy some more energy efficient shit.
And we'll give you a better rate.
Yeah.
Just bring
we're going to give you a low interest loan. So go borrow the money because you haven't got the money because we've hiked up interest rates because of the bullshit inflation and blah, 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 that we're never going to get back down to the impossible number they want, and go spend more.
Okay, so having worked in finance, does that mean that they're going to, on a case by case basis, offer a reduction on the base loan that's offered from the RBA to Westpac?
Yeah.
That sounds like a horribly complicated thing that just all gets lost in translation.
Well, apparently they're putting $1 billion worth of funding towards it. So good luck to them.
Okay.
Job seeker recipients. We have medication. Oh, who would have guessed? Politicians. Let's have a read of politicians. Now, I've got some mates who are politicians, like being here in Logan.
Yeah.
Like I have lunch with a few of them regularly. So nothing against politicians,
No.
but like we knew. Sign me up, Scotty.
Shout out Bert Van Manen. I think he does a good job. Go, Bert.
All right, so federal MPs are set to grow their offices with funding in the budget for more staff. So every federal MP...
Do they need more staff to just shuffle papers around more and more and more? Like, it just seems that everything to do with politics is just bureaucratic red tape and carry on. Like, is giving people more staff the answer?
Not always, we know that, running a business. Every federal MP will be given funding for a new staff member in their electorate office. A number of crossbench MPs have been campaigning for an increase in staff numbers, and staff allocations were cut back by the Albanese government. Now, the new staff plus some changes to travel entitlements will cost $40 million a year. There is also $15 million in the budget for renovations to the Parliament House. Maybe with the $15 million, they could actually get some really nice carpet. Have you seen the carpet in that shit on? 15 million surely should buy you someone with some taste and put in some nice carpet. Anyway, so the politicians are on the winners list.
How about we just go with the most basic level carpet that gets put in like offices and stuff, like pick your colour, dark blue, charcoal grey, let's go.
Put the cheapest in. No one walks in apart from
like it doesn't need to be, like fancy printed with emblems of bygone blah 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 or next.
So the Treasury, the budget is forecasting. We should do this every year because I think this again is full of shit. The budget is forecasting a $4 billion surplus for 2022 to 2023, which would be the first since 2007, 2008. So all they're saying is, Labor, we're going to bring back a surplus because under the Liberal government, you just spent bullshit and bullshit.
I mean, I don't know. Isn't traditionally the reality is that Labor's better at giving away money than anyone else?
We could get really...
when it's all said and done, and they get in and say, oh, we're going to be the ones to... Well, maybe in an immediate post-COVID spend, like depends on what sort of a snapshot and what sort of a time frame you want to make that as that assessment over.
Well, all up, they're saying over the next 4 years, the government is forecast to collect $143 billion more than what they predicted in March, in the March budget last year. So, most of it will be banked. So they're saying most of it's going to be in the bank. 82% will be used to improve the budget's bottom line.
How often are any of these numbers accurate?
So then we move on to the Pacific. We're going to spend $1.9 billion over 5 years to a whole bunch of different programs to strengthen our ties with the Pacific countries.
Is there any mention of the Chinese bases that they're building on those? Any of that in that?
Mate, there's a couple of crazy ones that I want to really get through, but single parents, they're saying are winners. The cutoff for the single parent program, payment program, will be lifted from 8 to 14, mostly reversing a cut under the Gillard-Howard governments over a decade ago. So the change will mean these parents will receive an additional $176.90 a fortnight if they're on the base rate, amounting to around $922 per fortnight. In total, this will lift the benefit for about 57,000 parents, overwhelmingly most of them are women, with a cost of $1.9 billion over the 4 years. So single parents are in there.
But they're also getting a break. There's some sort of a break on the childcare side of things as well.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Now, of all the things, what do you think I'm going to talk about now that is going to be a winner? Comment below before I give you the answer.
What's Chris thinking? What's Chris thinking?
What do you think we're going to talk about, or where there is actually even any government funding for this shit? Like, sign me up. Like, we all wanted to be one when we were younger, but I didn't actually think it was legitimately a job.
What?
What was that show? Old dude with the phone on the in the shoe, Maxwell Smart.
Yeah.
Well,
Spy Money.
Get smart.
Get smart.
Get smart. Right.
Yep.
For the oldies,
Yes.
they'll understand that.
Yep.
I sort of remember it.
Maxwell Smart.
Don Adams, was it Don Adams?
I think it might be.
Man, what a memory.
All the doors and things.
Spies.
Yeah, you mentioned this before we started. This is a bit ridiculous, isn't it?
That's a big WTF. All right. So Australia's Foreign Intelligence Agency, the ASI service, is getting a massive funding of boosting. It is going to receive $470 million over the next 4 years to modernise the agency, and an extra $185 million per year ongoing. $185 million per year ongoing after they're blown.
To go stick our noses in other people's business.
Yeah, and this is the jam. They actually don't know how much is spent because it's secretive.
But we're going to give them some more. We don't know how much it is, but we think they need more.
And so they don't know how much of the money is actually spent because it's secretive.
Probably falls into the same category as the Ukraine thing, isn't it? Like let's deal with. I mean, I don't know. Like I'm sure if you got to see behind the closed doors of what really goes on in that world, we'd all be shocked.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something, ignorance is bliss, but that seems ridiculous.
Okay, well, Australian diplomats have been complaining and campaigning for this for a long time, apparently. But there you go. If you're a young kid out there...
Because diplomats in other countries, like...
Honestly, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but again, when it translates to we're spending that money and people are waiting 15 hours of the corridor of a hospital, and the general level of literacy of kids is dropping because like the school funding is like that. Yeah, I think health and education. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Small business. So I did a fair bit of reading on this one because this one really affects probably us. We employ 80, 85 people or whatever. So we're classed as a small business.
Absolutely.
Okay, so a bonus tax discount is coming for small businesses, and they'll be offered to businesses with an annual turnover of less than 50 million. All right, so we will just come in under that.
Okay. Right. Sweet.
Yeah. So we're good. All right, so we're good. So what we're going to be able to do is claim 20% of our spendings to make our offices and shop fit outs and stuff or your small business more energy efficient. All right, so we have an electric cooktop in our kitchen in our lunchroom. We will get a small bonus discount or a tax break to claim if I change that to an induction, which is more energy efficient. Okay. All right, or if you want more solar or a better rated refrigerator. Right. Yeah. So really, they're going to slog the excise on the diesel, right? So our white goods being delivered to the good guys and the JB Hi-Fis are going to go up, right? I'm going to then go and buy them.
So you're going to get a tax break on the more expensive, more expensive fridge that was delivered by the truck that got
correct. Absolutely. This is how it all works.
It's like the.
See,
it's like the watch the ball and the 3 cups thing, isn't it? It's like it's gone.
Absolutely, it's gone. So, and we said we're going to dull this down so every normal person understands what the federal budget, because they'll read most of this bullshit and wouldn't actually understand it. So,
so basically they're doing that. Hey, look at this over here while we take the money from.
Absolutely, and if you smoke, you're copping this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't vape.
Don't vape. Sport. I haven't even read about this one just yet, but there's a chunk of money going in, obviously, for the Olympics that I know of. Right, so I've got a little bit of an insight around what's going on in the Gabba, been with the Bullets. because they're obviously looking for a home place, and I've been in some of those discussions, so I sort of understand what's going on around and what's in line for the Olympics coming.
That's a tough one though, isn't it? Because like, I mean, how do they ever produce any numbers on what the benefit of something like that is? Like, yes, it's exposure. You know, like how many people are now planning a holiday in Australia 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is out.
Yeah, look, I've got no doubt it will bring the money, right? So it starts now. You know, there'll be real estate being brought. There will be new jobs being created. We're going to have, that's why I think Brisbane real estate over the next 10 years is going to be amazing. It's going to bring a lot of people to Brisbane because all of these stadiums and all of these facilities, they need to be built. So they're spending $3.4 billion over the next 10 years on the games, and $2.5 billion of the 3.4 being spent right here in Brisbane.
All right, so I'll throw one thought at you in amongst all that, just something that I've thought a little bit along the way. What's the plan with the athletes' village housing? And the idea of, I mean, I remember what they did with the
Com Games.
with the Com Games, where it became student accommodation.
Yeah.
When you start looking at the whole, housing commission style, like that level of housing, surely there's got to be a way, if they actually thought about it, that they could decentralize the villages sort of thing and go, we're going to build those buildings in an area where post games they could be used for that purpose.
The monstrosity that's down behind, what is it, Parkwood, wherever they were.
Parklands,
Parklands there.
Well, but again, like it's right next door to university. It's useful. It served a real purpose
for a very long time.
But if you look at it and go, think about like the amount of properties that we've got throughout the southeast Queensland here that are housing commission owned properties, that if they could how much they're worth, some of those, if they could basically sell some of that stuff off and reinvest in a different style of housing, obviously without building American style slum projects, but there would be a way to do something vastly beneficial for the long term out of that, which I'm sure won't get done.
All right, well, the great news for Brisbane owners, or us here in Logan and Southeast Queensland and Brisbane, $2.5 billion of that 3.4 is spent here. Okay. 935 million on 16 new or upgraded venues. And then there's another $1 billion over another 4 years after that. 240.
Do you know if one of those is for swimming? Like, is Chandler being kept? Are they building a new one? Because it almost feels like they could use another.
We could.
I suppose you've got the one down in Southport.
You got Broadwater.
Yeah.
The Parklands there, which is I'm pretty sure that might be where the diving is.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But I reckon they need bigger because that's kind of pretty small. 240 million being spent on a new stadium in Hobart, so for Tassie, which I think is kind of cool. Because there's an AFL team going. Did you know that?
No.
There's an AFL team now, new AFL team coming into the league for Tasmania, which is awesome news.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that, things like that's not until 2029, I think it is. So it's a fair way out. So, superannuation, there's going to be some changes there, which I won't get into. And the last two, women and young people. So, the men miss out. It's a bit sexist, isn't it?
No comment.
We'll leave that one alone.
Well,
let's see.
What's it for? Like, what is?
Well, it should have just come under single parenting. But that's not. There's some single dads out there. Come on.
There is.
Absolutely.
There is.
But that's never talked about. Rules for single parenting payments are changing, which will largely benefit women. The single parenting program payments lift eligibility to include single parents with a child up to 14 years and an increase the current cut-off rate at 8 years. 91%, that's why it's under women. 91% of the recipients are women.
Fair enough.
So, I understand. When you get all the facts, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? So there's 9%. That's why men are not winners. It's largely women. 237 million being directed to women's safety. right? This is where I have the issue, right, with DVs and all of this other bullshit that goes on that these females have to endure. But
Yeah.
we're going to blow 200 million on Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only spending 127 million more
Yeah.
for our own people to put these people in
That's
safe places.
a real problem.
That's danger in our own backyard. So 194 million going to a range of Indigenous programs for women's safety as well too. So they're really pushing the women thing, which I think is great. But there is no budget for women's health. So, so they're blowing most of their money on research and data collection. So that's
research and data collection.
Yeah, but there's no new funding to access contraception and abortion, which is the two benchmarks of women's safety, isn't it?
Yeah.
So no money being. So it's they spin it however they want to spin this shit.
Yeah.
They really do. And then young people on income support payments will receive a much needed boost. So Austudy and Youth Allowance are going to be lifted by $40 a fortnight. The maximum rate of the Commonwealth Rent Assistance will also be lifted by 15%, which will cost the government about $700 million. So they tell us what it's going to cost the government.
All of which will be wiped out on the excess transport cost of 2-minute noodles anyway. From the diesel hike. So the students are going to lose.
Now, there is, however, 127 million in funding over the next 4 years, right? So when you break this down, right? So we're spending 200 million in 2 years in Ukraine, right? To fight a war that's not our war, right? We're only going to spend 127 million over 4 years for universities, courses, and to support the nuclear power submarine program. So take that as you want to, but that is a very dulled down, very quick overlook of who's the winners and who are the losers. Smokers, vaping, truckies, travellers, new immigrants, international students, and the gas industry. They're all in the red. But Josh, the winners are aged care.
So any traveller that thinks that they're coming here and going to vape a little bit and get on public transport that's powered by diesel, diesel is going to get slammed.
But aged care, agricultural, arts, childcare, cost of living, defence, electricity bills, disaster responders, emission reduction, environment, GPs, homeowners, Indigenous communities, we didn't talk about, job seeker recipients, medication, politicians, Treasury, the Pacific, single parents, spies, small business, community services, sport, superannuation, women, young people, and Ukraine.
See, just straight as far as a list goes, that sounds like more positive than negative, which is obviously the way that it's intended to sound.
That's their spin, and apparently we're going to be $4 billion in surplus. I can't even believe they would even put that out.
I mean, the truth of the matter is,
publicly,
the government gave away a pile of money through COVID, and it's got to be repaid from somewhere, somehow, at some stage, and that either comes from cutting of funding or some form of tax somewhere. Legalize weed and start taxing it. It's pretty straightforward. Look what they do in other countries. Like whether you pro or just do that. There's billions of dollars waiting there.
But this is the big thing. This is the spin. This is the bullshit that they feed us that we all magically just don't ask questions about, right? So only months ago, they crunched the numbers, right? And it came up that there will be a $32 billion shortfall in the budget. Somehow, in the last quarter, Chalmers has come out
just like
and
gone,
some numbers. You know what?
It's not that at all.
Magic, like these guys are magicians. Like they put Houdini and Constantino to shame, these guys, right? 32 million shortfall has now turned into a 4.2 billion surplus. It's my podcast, I can swear, but you're full of shit.
Well, just like the spy stuff, they won't actually tell us where the money's going.
Yeah, I reckon all the funding spies is government.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, so, you know, it's the first time we've seen a federal budget blacking since 2008. I think they're clutching at straws.
Well, that's
knowing that there is going to be an election coming.
And okay, so it would be the first time since 2008 that it would be in the black. Okay, so my question is, how many times between 2008 and today, at budget time, were we told that there was going to be
a surplus? It's every year.
So why would we believe it this time?
Yeah. Well, you know, they want to feed you it.
Yeah.
And that's what they're feeding us. So
here's the story. You're welcome.
Yeah. So I'm so glad we went through that, because a lot of people don't really probably understand what a federal budget is or where their money is going. They go to work, they pay tax. Where is all this money going?
Yeah.
When you actually really dive into it and look at it, you know, yeah. Anyway, the headlines, we're heading back into the red. The outbreak is destined and it's going to be short-lived. Well, I don't even think they're even going to get close to the black.
No.
Even close.
Well, let's revisit it this time next year, like just before the next one, and let's. But even still, I mean, what's the reality of the numbers that they actually put out of where the money gets spent? Like,
yeah. Well, you know, here's some comments. Chalmers is trying to find ways to constrain spending to allow room for budget repair rather than to expand it. Due to the heavy cloak of secrecy that shrouded it for years, the case of Witness J partnered plenty of tension. All right. The government has released its electric vehicle strategy, but it's not yet clear how much further ahead we are than 6 months ago. On structural change to the RBA, Labor knows it needs the support of the coalition. Conflict is in no one's interest. Look, he's absolutely getting slammed. Budget repair is way off. But yeah, it's ballsy. Like, I'll give him that. They're coming.
They always do it, though. Don't they? It's always, it's all going to be wonderful.
Well, I don't know, mate. I follow politics because it's important, you know, as a business owner, where we're heading and what to do. Do you think they feel that they're going to win the next election, or do you think that they're trying to use this because they know that they may not win the next election?
I think it was.
How do you reckon this is being played out?
It was always going to be a case of the COVID spending. There had to be a price to pay after that, and it's really all just going to become a case of how good a job does anyone do at passing the blame for that somewhere else.
So do you think we were all just naive, going, like, I said it years ago, I said, if they're giving out all this money, we're going to be paying for it for the next 20, 30 years. It's plain and simple.
Absolutely. And you can make all the arguments that you want that it was the right thing to do to keep the economy going and all of that stuff. But even if you get in and look closely at it, I mean, I don't know. How much was the economy really affected in a lot of ways? Yes, the tourism industry, was hard hit. The hospitality industry in a lot of ways was hard hit, but gee, there's a lot of caravans got sold. Like it seemed, geez, people spend a lot of money on houses. It just seemed like the money just got moved from one place to another.
You know, there was, and we saw most of these people. Like, we were selling their homes. They lost their coffee shop. You know, the home we just listed. You know, his insurance company pulled the pin. He lost millions overnight. Like, done, gone. You know, like, we've seen the other side. Like, don't get us wrong, but it did. Like, there was other people who were making a fortune during COVID. It was just really. it was what industry?
Or when you
were
start
in at that time?
hearing
Like,
people in the aftermath go, "Oh, it was great because we did blah blah blah."
yeah,
blah, blah.
absolutely. So
You know, like businesses that had people that were being paid that money. That it's I don't know. I mean, and maybe it was always going to be rife for abuse, but you
Yeah.
know, there was a lot of money handed out. Money doesn't, unless they just print more money.
Just print more money.
And we know that there's all the associated problems with that, but the money that was given out, it has to be recouped from somewhere.
Yeah.
So again,
whack the
just
smokers.
legalize weed and start taxing it.
You've said that multiple times.
I just think like it's just. I mean, I guess from following American football and some of the podcasts that I follow there, and I hear them talking about some of the numbers are staggering. The amount of money that is being generated by like Seattle and Denver, just as two. Like it's ridiculous amounts of money that is like, it's getting smoked. It's getting grown. It's getting smoked. Why not deal with it and take the cart out of it? And I don't know. To me, it's really straightforward.
Alcohol is poison.
Yep.
And it's legal.
I mean, cigarettes kill more people than weed, and look at, like, it just, I don't know. To me, it's just.
You imagine though, all of Australia on weed, like where the cruisiest.
Yeah, but
you imagine just walking down Queen Street.
I don't think it would make any difference as to how many people smoke it.
I wouldn't go out.
It would just make a difference as to like the regulation of how it's actually produced. Regulation of the amount of chemicals and crap that's pumped in there, and blah blah blah, like health benefits. And just the money, just the money.
Well, if it was legalized, it wouldn't make me, wouldn't make me go out and start smoking.
No, and
you're so right.
No, and you say just print more money. Well, just print more money. Yeah. There's a way to do it.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
that's my 2 cents.
There you go. That's the federal budget.
Done.
In the last 12 hours, that was handed down. That is your guide to the winners and the losers. Good podcast.
Absolutely. Let's look back on it in 12 months' time and see. Yeah.
There's no surplus. Just so you all know, like it's not going to happen.
We're going to call it now. No surplus.
Yeah. No. Done. So anyway, thanks for watching another episode of the Give Me 5 podcast.
See you guys.
I'm Chris.
I'm Josh. Bye.